Hello, thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. Right, okay, so we've got a fantastic project today. If this is the first time you've seen one of my lessons, don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and that notification bell. It's very important because I upload every Monday at 7:30 Greenwich Mean Time. And I prepared the canvas. This is a 20 by 24 canvas. I put a gesso on there. I've just gone round. I'm just drawing in some coffee cups as we speak. I've traced in the word coffee. And anyway, without further ado, short introduction, and we'll have a look at the palette.
It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe.
So thank you very much for watching that introduction. Nice to have you in the studio. So let's have a look at the colours I've got. I've got some Hooker's Green. This is all shopboard paint, student grade. I've got some cadmium red or medium red. I've got some ultramarine blue. I got some Van Dyke brown, some raw sienna, and a basic titanium white and Mars black. And yes, I've got my medium mix there, which is to stop underbinding the paint, as you know if you followed with me before. But before we do anything, I've got a bit of homemade gesso in the pot there, and I've added a little bit of a burnt umber to it, because what I want to do now is I'm not going to play around too much with the drawing, because we can sort that out as we go along. And what I'm going to do now is a touch of water into my gesso, and I'm going to put a ground on the canvas just to get rid of that bright white. There you go. Just a touch of medium mix or water, whatever you've got to hand. Being very careful to go over your sketch. What that's going to do is going to seal your sketch into place and give you a nice tonal background to work to. So I'm gonna get on with that. As you can see, it's a nice colour to actually work to. This is going to give me a nice base to the cups. I'm just going very gently again over the cups like this. And as a ground, because this has got calcium carbonate in it, or chalk, it's gesso with burnt umber, as I said, as a ground or a tone on the canvas, then it's just going to make life a lot easier, and it's not going to be so hard on the eyes at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to speed this a little bit up, and then we'll get straight onto the painting.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe. Visit Clive5art.co.uk.
There you go. So, excuse me. So there you go. That's the tone of the canvas. It's a nice thing to work to, as I said, because you don't get that burning in your eyes, a bright white. You need to get some colour on there. What I'm going to do now is going to dry that off quickly with a hairdryer, and then I'm going to outline my coffee in black, because I don't want to lose that, because the next thing we're going to do is put the background in place before we work on the cups. So I'll just go and do that, and I'll get back to you as soon as I've done it. All knotted up. So as you can see, I've outlined coffee. It's let me just turn this camera just a little bit that way. There we are. Oops. I've outlined coffee. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is putting a background in, but I want the background to be coffee bean type of color. That's the plan. So I'm going to get a little bit of a kitchen roll or kitchen paper. I'm just going to dampen that down into a little bit of water. I'm just going to get some black just on that there, like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very lightly put in a little bit of black like this. I don't want it too powerful. Try not to get it too powerful. And I just alter my paper just a touch to get some more of that. And this is directly onto the ground. Hopefully when I put the background in, the colour, some of this black will show through. That's the plan anyway. I'm also going to decide which way I want these cups to light up from. Do I want it darker this side or lighter that side? We'll see. We'll see as the painting progresses. Get a little bit of, that's going to be black. The coffee word is going to be black. Now, next thing I've got to do is I'm going to get myself, where's my brush that I put the background on with? There we go. So this is the brush I put the ground on with. I'm going to get some burnt umber. Burnt umber, it tends to be a little bit transparent. It's like semi-transparent. So I'm hoping that we can get a bit of colour into there. I've thinned it down just a little bit with some medium mix. I've got to be careful I don't lose my line work. I want it quite I think I'm going to have the light come in that way. So the light's going to come this way, and this is going to be darker there. That's going to be all dark on that side there. So we don't need a lot of burnt umber this side. So in fact what I'm going to do is get some raw sienna, because I know raw sienna is transparent. I'm just going to put a bit of warmth in there. There's going to be a tablecloth and that down there. There we go. Just put a bit of warmth in. Have a little bit of that coming through there. This is going to be darker this side. So let's just get a little bit more burnt umber. Don't forget, this is going to be hanging in the cafe. This is just one of several different paintings that I've got to do. I don't know if you remember, but it was the vineyard coffee shop that I've got these to do. I've done wine bottles and I've done grapes. That's been finished. So what I'm doing now is working on coffee cups. Just stop my seat from squeaking. I just dropped my pillow. Oh no! Oh no! The seat is quite hard if we don't have a pillows. There you go. I'm getting all knotted up here now. Dear, 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 dear. So you might be wondering where my shirt is today, and why I haven't got my my other hat on is because I had no intentions of making a video today for YouTube. I was just going to paint this and get it ready for the vineyard coffee shop, and I thought, well, no, I think I will video it, and rather than make a specific lesson, I thought I would just bring you on my journey. I know it looks dirty and icky, but that's what coffee is, isn't it? It's not icky, but it's certainly a brown colour, which I'm trying to get here. I mean, we'll get some more definite marks in this as we progress with it. And at the moment I'm just looking for like a base colour. Okay, now I've got to decide what colour I'm going to be doing these cups. Now, the best thing I can do, and the best thing I can suggest is when you're doing this, I've already got some colours out, but they might slightly change. So obviously, we think of white. When we think of coffee cups or something like that, we think of white coffee cups. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of blue and some ultramarine blue and some white together. And I'm thinking where we can put these coffee cups to bring in the light. And I'm thinking maybe we'll have a white one there. You notice I'm not using bright white. I'm thinking this one's going to have to be white as well. Maybe. Let me see. We'll just play around with some colours. This is not planned whatsoever. I'm just going to see what combination works. I'm going to get a bit of red. And I think maybe that one will look nice red. And that one would look nice red. There. And maybe we need a green one then as well, which was going to be that one. That looks pretty good. What would be good, I think, if I put a little bit of yellow on my palette. Let me just put a little bit of yellow on my palette. And that's a mid yellow, and you can see it's a Galeria acrylic from Winsor Newton, the student grade paints. I'm quite happy to use these in this occasion for this particular painting. Again, a bit of yellow, and I think I'm going to put the saucer. I'm going to put the saucer in yellow there. I think a bit of colour there. Just having a look at that, and we'll be having light coming on this side. Okay, so now the fun begins. Let's get some white, bit of blue, and let's just start getting in the shape of this particular cup in place. I want this to look like my other paintings, which is what I call painterly. So I'm not worried about it being perfectly smooth. What I mean, I'm not doing this type of thing. But we want a bit of colour. We want some brush strokes to show through. And it's going to be darker over to the one side, so I'm going to need to put a bit of Van Dyke brown to that blue white just to get that colour in. Now what we've got to do now is think of, actually, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my original idea, and I'm going to put the shadow that side. I think that would be, I've just come up with an idea that I've seen, I can't remember where I've seen it, but I've seen it somewhere. So I'm gonna put the light catch in this side, like that. That'll do. That's nice. I like that. I do like that. So that's going to be coming in there. Let's get a bit of that burnt umber back up there. A bit more white. A bit of blue. It's not burnt umber, sorry, it's Van Dyke brown. Because I want to put some definite shadow marks there, like that. just to get us some form, some shape onto this cup, and we can finalize that as we progress. Let's just get a little bit of dark just in the top of that edge there. Okay, so that's the basic bones of that particular cup. I'm going to let that dry before we add a couple more layers to it. Now I'm thinking of this this red cup. Again, some Van Dyke brown to the red, because I want the shadow colour. I want this to be fairly dark there. And you can see this is going to balance off lovely against that white. Washing the brush very quickly into some water. Now to lighten my red, I'm just going to use yellow. I'm not going to use white because white's going to turn it pink. So we need to put some yellow to it just to get that a lighter effect there, like this. And get a bit more yellow, turning it into a bit more of an orange. There you go. Got the bones of that one in, I think. That was pretty quick, that one. We can play around with that again. So we've got the white one in, we've got the red one in, working from top to bottom. Any particular reason for that? Not really, no. Just the way I started it, basically. So we got some green. I'm going to add some blue, some ultramarine blue to the green, because I want to darken that green up. I don't want to darken it too much. And I looked at the coffee mugs in the cafe, and I noticed that they're not all white. I made a note of the colours, so I know that these colours there are there. So it's quite a nice coffee shop, in fact. Right, adding a bit of white to that green, just to change its value, because we want to get some light coming in this side, like this. Again, just a little bit of shadow under there, because that's where the handle is. Again, a bit more white. Just on that edge. I need this cup to come down there. Finalize the shapes later on. Don't worry, don't be over concerned about definite shapes at the moment. But we know that's a handle. We can play around with that. We get the bones of this handle in place. And as we come to put the next layers on this handle, we can build the shape up a little bit more. At the moment the paint is wet. Sometimes when the paint's wet like this, it doesn't do what you want it to do, so you need to wait either for it to get tacky or you need to wait for it to dry. And if you put some darker colour or some lighter colour over wet paint, it's just going to adopt the colour that's underneath. But this is the bones of that particular cup. Again, washing my brush, because now I want to go back into blue. Same brush, back into this lovely white ultramarine blue colour. And we're looking at this cup. And you would just get the shape in. Try not to go over the green, because we're going to pick up the green if we're not careful. That burnt umber colour. Sorry, that side. Oh dear. Forgot where my light was coming from then. But that's okay, because acrylics are forgiving, so I forgive you. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so let's get a bit more light at the moment. As you know, we're just trying to get the shapes in. Of this handle and its cup. There you go. Talking about cups, I could do with a cup of tea now. I'm painting coffee cups and I fancy a cup of tea. Strange. There you go. Waiting for that to dry, and again we move on. I don't like that handle, but we can adjust. That handle I'm not happy with. You can see that handle I'm not happy with. But are you getting the gist of it? I hope you are. Right. Again, red. We need red. Van Dyke brown, just to give us that shadow colour, because this particular cup is coming out there like that. That's going to come down there. Now this one is not going to be catching so much light over here, so we can just put the cadmium red in. Let's have a look at that. Just working this out as I go along here. Maybe you could do with a little bit of light in that. We could put a little bit of light in, I suppose. We could put a bit of light in there like that, just to, for now, just to give us an idea where this is going to come. I still don't like that green cup, so we need to, we're going to have to alter this green cup, I think. But for the moment, I'm not worried. This will all work out. Are you sure? Yes, I am. Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll all work out. Bit of blue. Let's get this shadow color. I don't know who stacked these cups on the table, but I think they're gonna fall off. What I want to do now is put quite dark in there. I go quiet sometimes when I'm just concentrating, and I'm just trying to get the feeling and the shape of this. Cup. Because I want a definite handle coming down there like that. Again, don't be too concerned when you're doing this, because you're just looking for shapes, and we can refine the shapes in the next layers. Acrylics is, you can't really rush acrylics. Acrylics is a layer building, and sometimes they can be quite a challenge to get your colours exactly right. Now that looks weird again. That looks weird again, but as you can see, if I put some dark colour on there, it's just going to blend, and I don't, it's not going to do me any favours really. But there's a handle coming in there which we can play with. That's cool. We got I'm just going to orange this yellow just a touch, because I want to put this saucer in place like that. And that's going to be quite dark down there like that. Define shapes as we progress. I'll put a bit of black into this painting later on, I think, just to edge things off. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to dry that off with a hairdryer, and I'm going to start working on those cups again on the way down. Before I do that, actually, I think I might do something more to the background, I think. But I'm going to dry it off first anyway. Okay, so I dried that off. It's not too bad. But I got a fan brush that I've cannibalized there. I use this quite a lot in different techniques. You can use a toothbrush for this. You should have seen me do this before. So all I'm going to do is get some black paint. I'm going to thin it down with a little bit of medium mix, and I've got a bit of black paint on the end of that. And all I'm doing basically is pulling this with my finger towards me, because I want to put some stars in there. This is what I would use for white paint, if I use in white paint or a blue white paint, if I was doing like a nightscape or something like that. I thought it would be nice if I just put some little marks in like this. Not the effect I was looking for, but I'm just going to damp a bit of tissue paper just to wipe a couple of them spots off. Oops, that was a bit of red paint that I didn't dry. That's okay. There we are. Now, I think what I'll do is, let me see, if I get a brush. So this is just an ordinary bristle brush, which I've just wet with a bit of medium mix and loaded it up like that. I got another brush in my hand and hopefully get a couple of bigger I've done something very similar to my spirit animal painting, which is in the iCards if you want to go and have a look at that. And all it does is just give you that this difference, just a little bit of texture into that background. I don't want to overdo it because you can overkill sometimes, and that's not good. Damped a bit of tissue paper again. I'm just going to get my tissue paper in there like that, just to wipe a bit of these spots off. Yes, quite like that. I don't know whether I should put I want to make this side slightly darker, but for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on this coffee cup. So now I'm going to use a detail brush, or a round brush, which is a number 8. I'll have to clean my brushes in a second. Now let's get some colour in, because we said we were gonna do this part in shadow, so it's the same colour mixes. I'm just using a detail brush now just to give myself a more of a painterly type of effect. I'm trying not to overwork the cup, but on the other hand, what I've got to try and do, stay with the camera shot. No, what I've got to try and do is give a little bit of form to this cup. I want that painterly effect. Catching the edge like that with a little bit of light. I'm going into some pure white. So I just want to get a little bit of this shape on this handle, make it look more realistic. I'm just going to go into burnt umber just to give myself a slightly darker shadow. there. No, I don't want to be too precise with this. Not like that handle. What do we do with that? I don't like that handle at all. Just getting some Van Dyke brown. I want to do this darker over here anyway, so where we put some darker brown around there. Should give me some shape. How does that look? I don't know how that's looking on camera. Yeah, okay, that's looking okay so far. From my perspective, it's looking okay. I want to put a bit more brown in there. I'm just going to let that dry a little bit because I want to put some more highlights on it. Washing my brush, and I'm going to go into this red now. Again, we're using the cadmium red and some Van Dyke brown. Just using this detail brush just to pick up some shadows. Into that, we said yellow, orangey type of colour, just to bring some highlights in. Like this. Bit more light. And just think about where the light may fall. Don't forget, this is just an imaginary painting if you want. It's quite a decorative project. Let's introduce a little bit of black. Let's get some red, a little bit of black. Maybe a bit more red than that. I'm trying to get that into a sharp point because what I want to try and do is try and do a broken line of black there. That looks cool. Okay. You can see it starting to build. We can put some more shadow into that as we go on. There's going to be a bit more shadowing into that as well. I need to refine that cup. But for now, I need to put some light mark there Let's have a look at this. Let's see if we can't work this handle out. Okay, so maybe a little bit of black to that green. It's going to be a little bit of light shadow there. This is going to be lighter. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I hope it's not too long. Maybe a little bit of white, just to give us a little bit more highlight, I think. Concentration is a wonderful thing, and I find it quite difficult to be able to paint and concentrate and talk, and but we get there. We will get there. Should have painted this cup a different colour, I think, but it might have been easier. And not always easy. We don't always have to make things easier for ourselves. As long as we can find this handle. Don't know if you can see that. Ah, dear. Okay, let's look a bit more green, touch of black. I'm putting the shadows in the wrong place. That's what I'm doing. We need to darken that up a touch. We've got the light come in this way. I keep forgetting the light's coming this way. We will get there. We will get there. And a bit of white back on the top of this handle. Now, if you were struggling, like me, then sometimes the best thing to do is just stop and move on to something else. And that's what I might have to do, I think, because I'm finding this a little bit hard to try and get this handle to sit where I want it to sit, because I got an idea of what to do with this handle once I finished it. Maybe that's too, that needs to come there as well. I've been on a diet, and I've been on a Weight Watchers diet. I don't know if any of you have been actually on a Weight Watchers diet, but I've been on this Weight Watchers diet now for several weeks, and I was quite overweight, to say the least. My BMI was way up there, and cut a long story short, the doctor said, "Look, Clive, you need to lose a bit of weight because your blood pressure is quite high, and my canvas is coming off." He didn't say that. He said your blood pressure is quite high, and you really need to get a little bit fitter. Do some cardiovascular work, and lose a bit of weight. That is not right. This is annoying me now. I'm just going to concentrate on this a minute. Lose a bit of weight, Clive, he said. I thought, oh, okay, so join the Weight Watchers. I've been on Weight Watchers, as I said, now for several weeks, and I've managed to lose over 14 pound. Well, I've actually lost, that was about 18 pound or something like that. I was quite surprised actually, because I like my food, as most of us do. But I can't get that. I can't seem to get that handle right. So I'm going to let that dry a minute, and I may have to revisit that handle, I think. So you might have seen some of my posts on my Facebook page, which is I do a lot of posts on there for YouTube, and I put my paintings up and stuff. But recently I've been painting. Recently I've been posting what I've been doing in the kitchen, meals I've been eating and stuff. And it's worked really well. As I said, I'm quite happy with my weight loss. That looks terrible. It really does. Okay, I've had enough. I'm leaving that one. We shall come back to that when it's dry. That's not a problem. Okay. Actually, let's put a little bit of... Right, it's that handle it is that's causing the problems. Maybe I'll move the handle out. Maybe that's what I've done wrong. That's what I've done wrong, look. I should put the handle there. Maybe you'll see it better. That's what I've done wrong. I can see it now. I can see it now. I can see it now. Let's paint it out then. This is what happens sometimes when you can talk too much and concentrate too little. And the thing is, painting a painting, it's like building a mosaic. All these little individual bits and pieces take time. And we should never rush things. And we should always concentrate on what we're doing. And never get stressed, because as the good thing is about painting is just you need to just let things happen sometimes and just see how things go. We all fret way too much sometimes. And acrylics are such a forgiving medium that it's so easy to rectify any mistakes that you've got, really. Now it's time to let that dry. I can hear the rain out there again today. Looks better. Not perfect, but better. I'm going back down to this white cup. There we go. Burnt umber. Some white. Some blue. It's not burnt umber. I keep calling it burnt umber. I very rarely use Van Dyke brown, and this is what I'm calling this burnt umber for, because as I said, I'm very rare I use a Van Dyke brown. I'm just sitting here, I'm just listening to the little birds singing outside. It's quite nice. Yeah, little chirping away. A couple of new chicks have been hatched by the sounds of it. Oh, I love them too. They're chirping away out there today. Painting away the stress of everyday life in Wales. And I've been doing a couple of videos on anxiety and things because as you know, if you followed with me on a regular basis, that I found myself suffering quite a lot with anxiety over the last few years, and it has not been pleasant, to say the least, but I'm getting through it slowly, and the episodes are getting less and less. If anybody suffers from anxiety, then you know what I'm talking about. For those people who don't understand, have never suffered with anxiety, it's a fact that we all have anxiety, and we can all feel anxious, because if we didn't feel anxious, we wouldn't get up in the morning, as I've said before. I'm not very good at handles, I've just realised. I'm not very good at handles. No. But I don't care. I do not care, in fact. Because we need to make that a bit thinner. I overpainted that a bit. As I said, acrylics are very forgiving. Don't underestimate acrylics. I'm happy that there's a couple of things that are going wrong here for me today, because you can see that sometimes it's easy to rectify a mistake. So that handle now is not looking too bad, because I've just played around a little bit with the background, which we can alter. Whoops! He fell off my chair. And we can alter again, but I'm going to leave that as it is. I have got to come and revisit this, because this handle is looking a little bit weird. Means I got this paint on my brush. I'm going to come down and do this next white cup. Like this. Yeah, having a panic attack is it's basically an anxiety attack. It's your body is all geared up. Your adrenaline picks up and gets you in this state to either fight or flight, as they call it, and you've heard me say this before. Gets you ready to get into action, basically. And what we've got to remember is that we've got to have the ability to basically control our actions. Because if we can't, then our mind runs away with us, and that's not what you want. I think that a lot of it's to do with social media and everything today. I do. Because I can remember the times when we didn't have a phone. In fact, my neighbour was the only one that had a phone, because we couldn't afford it then. And if we wanted to contact our families, we'd either have to write them a letter, believe it or not, or go and see them. And today, you can just pick up your iPhone or whatever other phone you got, because there are other phones on the marketplace. And you just contact them and FaceTime them and all this wonderful things that you can do these days. Couldn't do that when I was younger. Okay, so let me kind of concentrate on this now. Or do I have to dry it first? I think I might have to dry it off. A sneaky day off from work today, so I'm glad it's raining. Makes me feel better. This handle is coming towards us a bit, so I need to really play with this shadow a minute. I want this to look a certain shape. This is why this is getting a little bit difficult for me to try and work around, but it's sitting at a funny angle. But we'll get there. We always do. We'll get there. Leave it like that at the moment. Should revisit that handle again. I'm going to have to clean my brushes in a second, but before I do that, let's go into some red, and let's do this one. Getting some yellow. It's a lovely day out there today. Can you hear that rain? Pittering, pattering on the roof of the studio. shouldn't be surprised that we're not having a very good summer this year, because we had a good one last year. There we are, that's a bit better, isn't it? Put a bit more light into this cup now. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that dry, wash my brushes, go and make myself a cup of tea, come back and have a really good look at it and see if I can't tweak these handles just a touch. I think that's the next job. That cup looks a bit weird. It does. Don't know why. I need to stand back and have a look, I think. So I'm standing up at the moment, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just standing back and looking. I need to adjust a few things. I've adjusted the handle a couple of times. I haven't been videoing that because this can take quite a while. But I'm standing right back behind the camera now, and I can see this particular cup needs to come up roughly there. Like that. Looking at this edge of the cup needs to come straighter. Again, standing back, looking at this particular painting. For some reason our green cup is giving me a headache, so I'm going to get a bit of black and green that we mixed up earlier. I really do need to think about defining that colour there. I'm just going to get a stiffer brush. There you go. Looking a bit better. I'm thinking now maybe this cup needs to be a little bit more out there and coming in just a little bit more there, like that. Starting to balance off a bit more red. I can add a little bit of green to the red just to dechromatize the red a minute, because I want to maybe bring this cup a bit more. Could be a cup, it could be a saucer maybe. Not a saucer, like a bowl or something. Now I'm standing back again, and now I'm going to look. Looks a little bit more stable. So what I'm going to do is bring this out just a touch more. Because sometimes when you're close to a canvas, you lose that perspective look, and sometimes that's what happens, especially when you start struggling. I was fumbling around with these handles, and sometimes it's not. In this case, it wasn't so much the handles; it was the fact that I hadn't got the cups quite right. So now maybe we can bring this cup out a bit more. Starbucks have got 3 different sizes of coffee cups. This is not a Starbucks painting, by the way, but Starbucks, I'm using them as an example. I've got 3 different types of coffee cups. They've got a tall, a grande and a verde. And that's what this could be. This could be 3 different types of cups that this coffee shop have got. So it could be the tall, the verde and the grande. Maybe we can just add a little bit more red to this one now. And this is why if I was painting this as a lesson, I would have painted this previously and it would have been perfect. But I'd like to show you sometimes that paintings can take a while to get right. Now we need to just put a little bit of distance on this one. Standing back like this does help sometimes. Yes, I quite like the way that's looking now. It's looking better. Maybe we need to bring this up a bit more. Like that. Looks better. Looks as if it's going to fall over, but it's like playing that game with sticks, isn't it? Maybe now. Maybe I could bring that cup out. I don't know if you can do that, Rain. Now we've got to be careful now, we're in danger of overworking now. Yeah, I'm liking that now. That's looking much better, I think. Right, I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. Okay, so we've altered that. We've let it dry. I've made myself a nice cup of tea, which I've got by here. Lovely cup of tea. I don't take sugar anymore. I got sweeteners in it. So it's an acquired taste, old sweeteners. But there we go. We will get there. What I'm going to do now is get my biggie brush again. Where's my big brush? There it is. I'm going to get some of that burnt umber once more on my brush because I want to darken this side off with a very thin coat of, it's not burnt umber, it's Van Dyke Brown, Clive. And I don't mind going over my coffee cups. There you go. As I said, this is a layer building process, so you know you've got to be patient sometimes. You can't have instant results. If you know, you can if you want to paint directly and just paint it as it comes, but I like to build up in layers personally. That's just me, maybe. I don't know. Are you like that? Let me know in the comments below. I'm tempted to paint that coffee in red actually and put a black line around it, but we'll see how it goes. I've also decided I've got to extend this saucer now because it looks a little bit weird. I'm going to put a definite tabletop or something in there. Picking up some raw sienna with some water just to warm up this far side. Again, using a bit of my medium mix. I want this slightly lighter this side. As I said, I don't mind going over my painting because we're going to be painting over that with some highlights, and it just gives it a nice tone to it, and it tends to knock it back in. I'm going to put some shadows down the sides of these cups. Just hope I've dried it off properly, otherwise I'm going to have a mess. When you're doing this, it's already adding some shadows in for me. So I get a nice bit of red down here. I'll come into his own in a second. So we just get that painted straight across there like that. A little bit more moisture. Yep, I want to darken that up a little bit more this side. That's looking quite nice. I like that. I'm going to get a bit of black into my Van Dyke Brown. I've got this little thing, which is just a measuring stick basically. It's a straight edge. So I put that, oh, it's not long enough. I was hoping that would be long enough, but it's not. It doesn't matter. I just want to just put a straight edge just on there like that. That's near enough. There you are. Better than putting masking tape and stuff on. It just gives me a rough line then I can work to. Just makes life a bit easier when I'm doing this type of stuff. Just gives us a base to push things back a bit. There you go. Right, now what I'm going to do, get my brush, and I'm going to start doing these cups again. Just building up. A couple of bits of paint like this. I'm a bit mad there. Doesn't matter. I need to stand up. So I'm going to just get a bit of wet kitchen paper. Let's bleed that out. Just put a few. Pure white. Just picking up a little bit of that dark colour because I want to what am I doing? Burnt umber. Oh, it's not burnt umber, Clive. It's Van Dyke Brown. There you go. A little bit of light, just to gotta be careful I don't overpaint. Come back in and put a bit more highlight on that in 1 second. Again, let's get some red now. So Van Dyke Brown, yay, I did it right this time. Van Dyke Brown and some of that red. Bit of yellow. Let's just get a little bit of light coming in. There you go. Where's my green? A bit of white into the green. A little bit of yellow. And let's just get a little bit of light coming in. There. Just trying to paint with the flow of the cup. There you go. It's looking better already. Oops. Okay. Washing the brush. Back into some white. A bit of blue into that white. I'm just going to get my brush and slowly rub that in like that. Get a bit of a blend. Bit of darker colour now. Do my head hurt sometimes when I concentrate so much. Nice. Okay, let's get a little bit of highlight. I'll do the highlights after, I think. Let's concentrate on this cup again. Now, we get that painterly effect that we want. Get this. Shadow in there. Concentrate on some highlights now. Quite like that. Quite like that. I'm just going to get a little bit of this Van Dyke brown. Try and get some pure white. What I want is let's just put a bit of pure white. I don't know if this is going to work, but we will see. I'm going to put a shadow just there. Makes it look like a love heart. And when I come to paint this full size then for the commission, then I've worked out all the bugs. Don't know how it looks. Maybe not, I don't know. Let's get this saucer in place now. I want this saucer to come out. Like that. Not too sure about that love heart. Don't think that's going to work. Tell you what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get some white paint. Paint that out, because this is a work in progress. Let's get some white, some of that Van Dyke brown. Let's put the handle there, like that. That actually makes more sense, I think. That actually makes more sense. There you go. That actually balances a bit more now. So I've got some raw sienna. My chair is definitely creaking today. I'm going to get some black into that burnt umber. Let that dry a bit. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to speed this up because I want to paint in this lettering, so I'll be here forever. Right, now what I'm going to do is just chuck a little bit of highlight on the saucer. Looking for that painterly effect, as I said. A bit more yellow, a bit of yellow down there. Yellow. Right, let's get some on a thin wash of colour. I want to put some shadows in. Need a bit darker than that. It's a very thin wash of colour. Just looking for highlights and shadows. Just giving a little bit of definition. Bright white. Get some thick paint in places now. Going for that paintly effect. I need to catch a little bit of light. There. Just getting a little bit of light catching. Just a little bit. What you could do, if you wanted to, you could go around and outline your text with a very thin brush like that. How effective would that be? I don't know. So, you know, play around and see what works for you. You know, if that doesn't look effective, then leave it dry and then just paint back around it with black. So don't be afraid to experiment with things. You might find that you can paint your text red and then do a shadow line around it if you wanted to. Try and keep things uniform. You also could do, you could get a nice soft brush and you could just get a very thin black and raw sienna or black and burnt umber or something like that, and just put a very thin light coat of colour over certain points like that. Whatever works for you, really. It's as I said, this is going to be a much bigger canvas when I've actually painted it for real, for full size. And I was basically just coming to the studio today to get my idea on the canvas, and I thought, well, I just as well video it for you. So whatever mistakes you've learned or made and recovered by doing like a study painting like this, especially if it's for a commission, is that you know you got trouble with the handles, or you can alter the handles, you can alter the thickness of the cups. You've seen the way I played with the dimensions of the cups, and this is just a way of practicing, trying to get composition right, trying to get the background right, trying to get the colours to work well together, and it's just a way of showing you that you don't have to just go to a canvas and just try and paint. Sometimes that doesn't work. For a lot of people that doesn't work. Sometimes people have got to sketch it, use colouring pencils, even do study paintings like this, and this is going to be taken onto a canvas that's going to be 2 or 3 times bigger than this. Again, maybe the size of this board, I don't know yet. I might decide to do quite a thin, long painting of this with coffee. I could do another similar one then with espresso in there, or cappuccino. But this is just an idea of cups with a colour scheme that I had. So I hope it's been of use, and I hope you can learn by that. Make that line, that base under there, slightly darker, so it does look like some sort of table or something. You can darken that quite up with a bit of shadow like that. That's what I would tend to do. But just as a test painting, like I did with the grapes and like I did with the wine bottles, this is just something to go on to another stage. And once I've done the series of paintings, I can take them down and give them to the owner, which is great. So thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Don't forget to click the subscription button down there, and over there is a button either to Patreon or to my shop if you want to try some of the products out. But for now, have a go at that, have a bit of fun, just relax, just chill. Doesn't matter what it looks like, just enjoy yourself. Bye.